Hello, Alabaster. Welcome to Council Comments. We are joined with Jamie Cole, and you are our Ward 5 council member.
Ward 5. Yes,
Ward
ma'am.
5. Now, this is your third time on with us.
Yeah.
So still new-ish.
Yeah.
But I feel like you've totally gotten your feet wet at this
Well,
point, right?
we've been working hard. It's been a very busy, is it a year and a half? Yeah, since we took office, and so a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, there is. So let's just dive right into it. We're going to talk about, you guys are going to do a cost of living increase, or vote on that.
Mm-hmm.
So while filming this, you actually have a council meeting tonight.
Right.
So by the time this is watching, this will probably have already taken place. But tell us what's going on here.
Yeah, so glad to see that on our agenda in our work session last week. We will be voting on it tonight. It's fun to vote on things where you can see the progress happening.
Right.
Buildings, equipment. We just bought a new fire truck last year. But one of the things that I said when I was campaigning was, it is a council member's #1 job to make sure that first responders have everything they need to keep us safe and peaceful, and that city employees have what they need to help that happen.
Right.
And equipment's great, buildings are great, but everybody needs that paycheck, right? So
Absolutely.
Especially now.
Especially now, yeah.
And so was just really glad to see this come from HR and from finance and wind up on our agenda, and we will vote on it tonight. It's a 3% cost of living adjustment across the board for every city employee. And the really cool thing about it is in the past, sometimes they've had to do either a cost of living adjustment or merit increases, kind of either or, and all of that will be in place this year. So, over the holidays, my wife is the principal at Creekview Elementary, and we had a little incident out there, had an HVAC to act up and saw a bunch of smoke coming out of the building, and we went over and got to see the response to that and got to see some of the new equipment that I had voted on, in action.
Right.
But the people have to run it, right? I mean, it's every bit as important to have good people and keep good people. So
Absolutely.
When we see this come up on the agenda, we know our HR folks, we know our directors have been to market and have looked at this and make sure that we're keeping our employees competitive. So can't wait to cast a vote for that.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think that is so great. And you're right, it's just as important as that tangible stuff that
Absolutely.
we see. This is just as
Yep.
important. Awesome. Now, in your ward, lots of things moving and shaking going on here. We got a new signal at Kent Dairy, and look, I've experienced it.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Yeah.
We love it.
It makes a huge difference, already, and that became operational a couple of weeks ago. We've been talking about it for a long time, and also in partnership with the county, kind of on the north side of the ward on 17. We've looked at plans for a new turn lane onto First Avenue.
Awesome.
All of those neighborhoods up and down 17 are going to benefit from the signal and from the turn lane.
Yes.
And even around the corner on Kent Dairy, all the way up to where Warrior Parkway connects. I mean, we've seen a huge difference in traffic mitigation. So that's really exciting.
It's even great for those of us who are trying to avoid 119 at certain times
Sure,
of the day.
of course.
Going back that way, it'd
Yeah.
be super helpful.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And we can handle that traffic now.
Yes,
that there's
absolutely.
a signal back there, so that's really good. We also saw engineering sketches for the trail system we talked about last time. Ward 5 is sort of unique. We're mostly neighborhoods, parks, and schools. There aren't a lot of businesses, and so it's going to be really cool to have a lot of those connected by walking trails. And that's a huge goal of mine over the next few years. And so to see that come around and to see those grants, kind of play out in the form of sketches is really cool.
So you've seen sketches approved, and now we just more to come on that, right?
More to come.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a huge project, and we're obviously doing it, parsing it out and doing it one at a time. But definitely progress coming along on that.
That's going to be really exciting for your ward. And you told me that the Y is the only retail.
Yeah,
in
I
your
mean,
ward?
I guess it's technically
se,
a business. There's
yeah.
also a BP, little gas station
Like
strip over
very
on 17.
few.
But yeah, there's not that much. A lot of people work from home, but not a lot of brick and mortar businesses.
Very interesting, though. I like that information. Now let's talk about this beautiful magazine in your hand.
Yeah,
which
so
you had a huge part in, right, Jamie?
I'm an old magazine guy. I really love print media, and this is Alabaster Connection. I think this is the third or fourth issue we've done with our new vendors, and it was a really special one, obviously with our super seniors from Thompson High School. This is the official publication of the City of Alabaster. And so you're going to see a lot of stuff in here, especially being able to keep up with events. We've got Clean Sweep coming up on April 9th, where you can shred old documents and get rid of old electronics. But there's all kinds of stuff you can keep up with. One of the really cool features that's in every issue of Alabaster Connection is this How Do I page. It has a lot of information about how you can do things like sign up for rubbish pickup and figure out where to take your recycling and contact one of your elected officials. It's always in the issue. It's always on that page. So there's a lot of great information in here. It comes every couple of months.
There really is, and if you haven't gotten this specific one and looked into it, the interviews with the students are so inspiring.
Yeah, very much so.
Absolutely incredible. But I love it because you've not only got your local businesses in there advertising, but like basic information. How do I do this?
Right.
And even people like me, we live in Alabaster, we know what's going on, but I forget about the how to do rubbish pickup and all that. So I think this is awesome.
Always
you guys have done a wonderful job. And every couple months this comes out, right?
Every 2 months. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Now, you have had an increase in funding for arts in the city. Tell me about this.
Yeah.
This is very interesting.
Personally, very passionate about this. My wife, before she was an administrator, was a music teacher. I grew up in music, and so one of the things I was really hoping for after being elected was finding ways to have events here that you would normally have to leave Alabaster for, but you get to stay home and have this cool stuff happen here. So really appreciative to colleagues on the City Council and our mayor. We've increased arts funding over the last year and a half by 50%. And so City Fest is a big thing that the Arts Council is involved with, and I've been a part of that for a long time. But we've also added a fall event, Alabaster Jubilee. We'll have our second one on October 22nd this year. And again, those are the things that everybody sees. But that arts funding also does stuff that maybe you are not as aware of, or maybe haven't had a chance to be a part of yet. Great example of that, the Alabama Symphony Orchestra had their first kind of post-COVID concert in Alabaster back in January. Had a great, beautiful program on a Sunday afternoon. During Black History Month in February, we were able to fund a Louis Armstrong Day at the high school, so kids could go and hear this great jazz music and learn about its origins. And we even had a couple of visiting schools come be a part of that. Arts funding goes for that kind of stuff too. Also for teacher grants that are involved in the arts in our high schools, middle schools, elementary schools, and scholarships for kids that are deciding to have a career in the arts.
That's huge.
So just a lot of things that money goes to, and the city is a huge supporter of that. Now the Arts Council also is self-funded in a lot of ways. We go out and look for sponsorships, and we have a lot of great local sponsors involved. Central State Bank's a big one, Coca-Cola, but the City of Alabaster is one of the biggest ones too. So we're very grateful for that.
Thank you for that information. I love hearing about that. That's really great. Now, Jamie, when it is your turn on council comments, we always end with a very specific thing to talk about here. And I want you to tell us why. We're going to talk about recycling, but tell us why, for anybody that doesnn't know.
Yeah, so recycling is just a passion of mine. My dad ran a recycling plant when I was growing up, and so even though we don't have the door-to-door anymore, it became really expensive. You can still recycle if you live in Alabaster. You can take your recycling down to Saginaw at the limestone facility, and there's a big trailer there, and you can leave it there. It's important to check to see what is recyclable and what's not. So that is on the How Do I page in the Alabaster Connection, and on my Facebook page at J. Cole Alabaster.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that information every time, because it's easy to forget. For sure.
Thanks.
All right, Jamie, we really appreciate you guys. Make sure you tune in next month for another council comments brought to you by the City of Alabaster.